He bet a long snapper would go in the second round.
The long snapper from Florida is still waiting for his name to be called.
Now this is EJ. EJ tuned into SportsGrid's draft coverage. He checked the app, tracked the markets, followed the pros. He didn't guess. He knew. BEJ SportsGrid draft coverage starts Thursday at 7:30 p.m. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. A very happy Wednesday to you now. April the 23rd, if you can believe it. I'm Joe Raineri, and we are getting ready for more playoff action here tonight. NBA, of course, 3 games on tap here tonight. Game 2s between the Orlando Magic and the Boston Celtics. That'll be coming up top of the hour. And then the bottom of next hour, the Miami Heat will try to even things up with the Cleveland Cavaliers. That'll be a 7:30 tip. And then the late game tonight is also going to be a team looking to even things up, and that will be the Houston Rockets getting ready to take on the Golden State Warriors. So if that wasn't enough urgency for you, well, then take it over to the NHL here as the Stanley Cup playoffs are in full effect. And we've got some teams looking to bounce back in a big way tonight, including the Montreal Canadiens, who are in the playoffs for the first time in, 1,000 years, I believe. And they are certainly getting ready to tie things up with the Capitals. They were oh so close in game 1, overtime loss to Ovechkin and company, put a damper on things for Montreal, but can they and will they bounce back here tonight and tie this series up before they head home to what is no doubt going to be a wild crowd in Montreal as the Stanley Cup playoffs return there? And then, of course, you've got Dallas, who miraculously ended up getting it done against Colorado to tie things up there. Well, now they're going to head to Colorado here for all-important Game 3. That series knotted up at 1 apiece. And then you got Edmonton taking on the LA Kings. The LA Kings, again, one of the best home records that we have seen in a very, very long time in the NHL. I think they've only lost 4 or 5 home games all year long. They got it done, albeit it was by the hair on their chinny chin in Game 1 as Edmonton almost was able to steal one. They ended up losing. They'll try again before they head back to Edmonton there. So the Kings and Darcy Kemper getting it done. Will they do it again here tonight? And then, of course, we did have a bunch of getaway Major League Baseball games earlier today, and an interesting trend that we'll share with you here has been emerging, at least from what we have seen in years past. And that trend is, boy, oh boy, don't look now, but the away teams to this point in the schedule in Major League Baseball not doing a great job. Road teams just last night went 5-10. They are now 5-18 over the last 2 nights of Major League Baseball. And I think we just saw it earlier today. I think of the 5 getaway early games that we saw, well, I think only the Yankees were being one who were on the verge of being swept. So thanks, Yankees, for getting one there against the Guardians. But the Yankees, and I believe the only other team that I saw that was an away team was the Cincinnati Reds, but that doesn't count because they took on the Miami Marlins. Outside of that, the Mets won in extra innings, home team. We saw the Detroit Tigers handle business at home with Olsen on a mound. They blanked the Padres at home. Atlanta, home team today, another victory. So certainly worth keeping an eye on here as we move to the slate tonight. And we've got, well, I mean, listen, maybe the good news for the Baltimore Orioles is that they are home tonight. The bad news is, well, they're not very good. In fact, this team is awful, but yet they continue to be priced as if this was the Orioles of a year ago. Decimated is that starting rotation for the Orioles, and it has not been good. They got shut out again last night. And in fact, over the last 2 games, not only has the pitching been a problem for Baltimore, they can't score runs. They have been outscored 31-2 in their last couple of games here. My goodness, not good at all there. Sugano going for the Orioles here tonight. Now, he has pitched better than, well, anybody else in that Orioles rotation because it has not been good. But again, injuries have absolutely decimated that starting rotation. And the bullpen hasn't been all that good either. But 9-13 is what we are looking at right now for the Orioles. They have a starting rotation with an ERA near 6, and they, for some reason, appear to be, well, a favorite here tonight against the Washington Nats, who are being pesky, to say the least. So the good news is for Baltimore is that, well, you're going to be, well, hopefully you're going to have a chance to win this game and fly in the face of this streak. But right now, keep an eye on some of these away games and these lesser teams on the road, because it has not been a good stretch at all for them. And that Baltimore game is going to be first up here. And they are unfortunately a road team, but we'll see if they can go ahead and break that streak. You also have coming up Seattle and Boston. And Boston welcomed Seattle in yesterday by a big, I believe, 7th inning where they dropped 4 runs in and ran away with that game against the Mariners. And wouldn't you know it, well, they get Emerson Hancock on the mound for Seattle here tonight. Not great, to say the least, but the bats are finally starting to warm up for the Boston Red Sox, and they are a small favorite here at Fenway with Newcomb going. The good news for the Red Sox is they didn't have to use any of their high leverage guys last night because that game was pretty much over after the 7th inning. Then, of course, you're going to have to start dealing with the Dodgers and the Cubs. What a wild one that was last night. Looks like it's shaping up to be another wild one here tonight at Wrigley Field. You're seeing the total creeping up to 9. Now, that either means people have completely given up what the wind is doing at Wrigley. It really doesn't matter because we're scoring runs in bunches there. And nobody's expecting the pitching to hold up. Boyd going right now for the Chicago Cubs here tonight. Casper is going for the Dodgers. So they'll have a bullpen game lined up there. But pretty much nothing but Chicago Cub money coming in so far here today, looking to handle business once again. After last night's win, can they get 2 in a row against the Dodgers? And then some of the late night games also proving to be interesting. One of them being the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Giants. That'll be your 9:45 Eastern game there. And of course, anytime you got Logan Webb at home in the Bay Area, that's usually a good thing. One of the better home pitchers. He loves pitching in that park. And you can tell because the total is 6.5 in that game. So if you were hoping for a late night slugfest, that might not be the game that you're going to want to tune into, as Freddie Peralta, who's been good and solid for Milwaukee, has also gone through a bevy of injuries with the starting rotation there. But 6.5 is the total in that late night game. If you're looking for runs, who are we kidding? The late night game for you is going to be the Texas Rangers taking on the Athletics. It was Happy Patrick Corbin Day yesterday. Hope you faded him. But more importantly, hope you took the over in every way possible yesterday. First 5 full game, because that was a winning ticket, as the total once again sitting right around 9.5. Will it get to 10? I can certainly think and see, even with Sears on the mound going up against Kumar Rocker, I can see runs coming in this one in Sacramento tonight. So maybe an over is in play in that one. But we got much more coming up when it comes to the playoffs, and the NBA playoffs are on the top of our mind. We'll talk about it, break some of these games down for you as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats typically in your direction if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one because you're so far out of the West? Do you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and we welcome in our good friend Mark Zinno here as we're getting ready for the playoffs. That's right, the NBA, the association, in full focus here. A lot of game twos here tonight. Orlando, Boston, Miami, Cleveland, and of course, the Golden State-Houston one should be interesting. A lot of zigzagging happening here, except for a couple of games here, Zin. It's always been a great approach to the NBA playoffs, especially when the home team ends up losing game one. But we saw the Lakers bounce back last night. We saw the Clippers, who were an away team in Denver, bounce back in game two. Are we getting any zigzagging tonight with these games here? Some big spreads, too, with the first couple.
Yeah, I don't know how much zigzagging you'll get here. Miami is not competitive, and Orlando is not competitive with Boston. Maybe you get some zigzagging with Houston. That line keeps to be going in favor of Houston, which is surprising me more and more at this point in time. And I think that's some of the public zigzagging with this whole thing, continuing to put money on Houston, which kind of makes it appetizing to grab Golden State at a bigger number here. But yeah, I just don't think that. I mean, what's the reason not to lay it with Cleveland? I mean, honestly, there's not a, I looked at Miami's team total under again. Is Miami going to get to 100? I doubt it. I genuinely doubt it. So, you're not asking Cleveland to have to do all that much. And Cleveland, much like Oklahoma City, will still have Donovan Mitchell on the floor with 2 minutes left, chucking up threes and hitting them. I mean, they're just in that mode. So I don't know that we're going to get that much zigzagging. The game I focused on tonight was Golden State and the Houston Rockets here, and the total. Joe, we had a total of 214.5 in game one. This thing was at 203.5 this morning when I bet it. You can't drop 11 points from game one to game two. You just can't. It's way too big of a swing. I get it. They both sit under 100. I get it. It's not going to happen again. One of these teams is getting to 100 when they win this game. And if it's the Rockets, chances are this thing has a much better chance at going over, because there's a world where Golden State could just, shoot the lights out again. And the Rockets had a really bad shooting game in game one. You would hope for some regression to the mean there. So, I mean, there's an easy, 105-95 final here that still gets us home, right? Like, it doesn't have to be. This is such a low number for two teams that are good defensively, but this is not like, stalwart defensive teams here. I think just the pace, when Golden State got up by 24 in the third quarter, it was dribble, kill clock time, right? They were just biding time. The pace just died once that happened. Even though Houston got back with it, got it close late, the pace got dead at that point.
The thing that worries me, and I think this would be the time, Mark, because we're talking unders are 10-3 to date right now in the NBA playoffs. Am I losing my mind, or are these games being officiated way different than what we got during the regular season? Because, I mean, guys are out there mauling one another. It looks like a throwback to the Knicks teams of the 90s, where they're just out there hacking and they're not blowing the whistle here. And that's the only thing that scares me with trying to go with overs. And it's going to bottom out at some point. And this is probably the one game where, what does it drop? 10 points from the first game? I mean, but my goodness, are they letting them play or what?
I mean, look, it feels like Charles Oakley has been resurrected, right? And just hacking the hell out of them, knocking them on the backside, which is cool to watch. And speaking of the Knicks, that was one of the things Thibodeau had to complain about in game two, was the disparity in free throws between Detroit and New York. Well, That's not the reason you lost the game. That's neither here nor there. But I get what you're saying. I don't know if that's going to normalize or not. And the fact that they're letting these guys play, we'll see which teams try to take advantage of it and what the limit is, where they draw the line. But, again, I just, for a Rockets team that shot 41% from the field and 24% from three, that's got to come back up. It got to have some sort of regression to the mean and the numbers that they normally shoot at. Again, only one team really needs to get over 100 here for this thing to be pushing, going over a total that is insanely low. I mean, the Boston Orlando total, 196. Okay. I'm sorry, it is 2003 again. Okay, got it. Noted. All right, but
that's what I'm saying. I mean, the Boston didn't even get 50 points in the first half in that first game, and now they don't have Tatum. Now they're going to be bent, but are they going to be stopping the whistle? I don't know.
Did you see the number for who is it? Was it Memphis in their team total game two? Like it's such an insanely low number. Like, I mean, it's just these totals are, the team totals and totals out there are kind of crazy right now.
It's absolutely bonkers. But the one total that's not going to be enough, I can tell you, is Jaylen Brown points with no Tatum. I fully anticipate him to be the one that is going to go to town tonight with the Boston Celtics. But again, 196, we're talking, what did it open up with? 12 and a half points? And you're not going to score 200? You know how hard that is to cover in this NBA? Or maybe it's not.
For Boston to cover it and it to stay under, Orlando can't get to 90, so to speak.
90.
Right? They have to stay in the mid-80s.
Yep. And what makes us think that's going to happen? You like the over in Golden State, Houston. I think because the Miami-Cleveland game went over easily, that this game is probably better to look under because defense, I think, from both. Don't forget, Miami had what? Back-to-back. They had 2 games in like 3 days to get there, and then they had to play. I think a lot more defense here tonight in both of those. I think maybe that game is artificially high because of the over. But maybe the zigzag theory in effect here, not just in the games and sides, but the totals as well. And how many foul shots are these refs going to give these teams here tonight? But Golden State, definitely an over here tonight for Zeno. And I'm starting to see it too. And I'm seeing 205s popping up in the marketplace right now. So you are not alone in thinking that at all. We got some Major League Baseball games coming up, Zin. I want to get your thoughts on a couple of those here as we had a lot of getaway games. And how bad are the Baltimore Orioles? My goodness. We'll talk about it next. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday. We welcome back in Mark Zeno here, taking a look at this Major League Baseball slate tonight. We were just talking, how bad are these Orioles? They got, again, the last 2 games, they've been outscored 31-2. That's not a recipe for success. Taking on Trevor Williams there and Washington tonight. Is this the night that the Orioles turn it around and the bats get going?
I think it's a great buy low spot on Baltimore. I played the Nationals' first 5 last night because the Orioles absolutely stink at hitting left-handed pitching. And so the Nationals got a good start from, why is it slipped my mind? Wasn't Mackenzie Gore. It was the other lefty. I forget who it was who got a start. He threw a one. Yes, thank you. Mitchell Parker threw a freaking one-hitter. It was impressive to watch, to say the least. So, the Orioles' bats are really, really cold. Do I mind fading Trevor Williams here? No. He's got an ERA near 6, a whip of 1.6. He's given up a home run in each of his last 3 outings. He can't keep guys off the base paths. So, if they don't break out now, I mean, it's, alarm bells are starting to go off in Baltimore. So it's not good. They need a win. Feels like a good buy low spot here. The Orioles have their pretty much most reliable starter at this point on the mound in Sagano with a 3.4 ERA, a 1.29 whip. And, again, a guy who, for the most part, has done a decent job of keeping his team in the game here. But I just think the Orioles bats can get to a Nationals bullpen that, while it's improved, still is not one of the better ones. In fact, their team ERA in the bullpen is over a run and a half higher than the next worst bullpen. So they have an ERA over 7. So they got to get into the Nationals bullpen to make them work here. And they do that, the Orioles should be good.
I agree there. The Orioles should be able to get to that bullpen, but you're right. They got to get the lefty off the mound first. How about the Astros? Seem to have figured some things out here tonight. They're taking on the Blue Jays again. It's been a nice little streak for them. Do we trust them to get another one here against the Jays?
This is another weak hitting team to start the year. Remember, the Astros did this last year, except they were below 500 in doing it. They had a really slow start offensively, and they ended up going out and winning the division, right? So a lot of season left. But another buy low spot here in Toronto, who's lost 4 in a row, who has only scored a total of 8 runs in the last 4 games. They have been knocked down in the last 2 games against Houston. They've been outscored 12-1. So you hope this lineup can break out. This is a good hitting Toronto lineup, although Santander is really struggling right now in a Blue Jays uniform. He's batting my weight, essentially, which is way below the Mendoza line. So they need him to snap out here. Gusto has been okay, but he feels a little bit lucky to a certain extent when you look at some of his starts. Bowden Francis goes for Toronto, one of their more reliable starters here. But again, the fact that Gusto is starting, they're doing a bullpen game. So you don't know what you're going to get from the rest of the Astros bullpen for the rest of this game. Hopefully the Blue Jays bats can take advantage.
Yeah, it's that game's going to be it. They need to wake up because it has not been good at all there. And a lot of guys seem to love Pittsburgh tonight over the Angels. Pittsburgh, I can't believe they scored. Have they scored 11 runs in the last month? Because that was interesting last night. They got Heaney on the mound tonight. Do we trust Pittsburgh to go back to back?
I mean, I don't like a world where I see a team like the Angels laying anything because I don't trust them.
That's a good.
The Angels have the 5th highest K rate against lefties, and the Pirates are starting left-hander Andrew Heaney. And they're not great at hitting left-handed pitching. They're not terrible at it, but again, this is an Angels team that feels like if they get behind, they're not meant to come back because again, they hit a lot of home runs, but they tend to be all solo home runs because they never have anybody on base. So it's a hard way to get back in the game hitting solo shots.
Yeah. Do you like an over with this Dodgers Cubs game? It's up to 9, and I don't trust either set of pitchers. These lineups are they're crazy with these 2 teams.
Yeah, they mash the hell out of the baseball. I mean,
oh my goodness.
And it's like if you have everybody healthy, and the Dodgers do, they got Connie Betts, Hernandez, Freeman, all in the lineup.
Give me the over.
Against these bullpens, I would go against the over. I'd go to the over.
21 runs last night, 78 degrees at Wrigley here tonight, so it's even warming up a little bit. Yeah, I'll take the over, and I'll take the over with Oakland and Texas too, because prove me wrong that ballpark in Coors West there. Zeno, enjoy the games. Let's get that over in Golden State as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday. It's the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we're getting ready, of course, for the playoffs. That's right, NBA tonight, back at it. Game 2s in Boston, in Cleveland, and in Houston. But let's not forget, it's already been a wild and crazy start to the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. And we got another couple of interesting games coming up here tonight with teams trying to zigzag their way into a win. And we welcome in our good friend George Kurtz in Game Time Decisions here to try to make heads or tails. By the way, George, did you happen to see that Panther Lightning game last night? Just asking, because I didn't hear anybody on the Panthers last night. It was it's going to be a clean sweep for Tampa, but they hope they didn't bet that past 5 games. That's for sure. But tonight, listen, overtime loss to Washington. I thought they played great, Montreal. They're not going to be an easy walkthrough here for this Capitals team here. Can they tie it up before? Let's face it, when they get home to Montreal, that's going to be one wild scene there when they have playoff hockey there again.
Yeah, you're right. Game 3 in Montreal will be wild. But hey, got to get through game 2 first here. It would have been nice if they could have stolen game 1, right? And they came real close, scored a couple of late goals here, got it to overtime there. I thought they had a shot in game 1, mainly because Washington. I mean, Joe, what's it been? A month since they had something to play for? So that they coasted at the end here. Montreal had to play, win all these games to get in the playoffs so they could steal game 1. Didn't quite happen there. I do wonder if game 1 is the worst game Washington will play. So that is a worry for me here. That being said, I still think Montreal has a chance to upset even in the series here, but you got to win tonight, right? Really, it's really important for them to win tonight here. So I think they got a shot here. Still, I didn't bet this game, but if I was going to bet this game, it would be the Washington Capitals. I did take the over, however, though. I think we'll get some goals tonight.
I don't hate that at all here. I think it's been an interesting series there with Colorado and Dallas there. What a game 2 that was. Backs up against the wall here. So they had to come from behind to win that game 4-3 in overtime. Well, now we're knotted up at 1 apiece, right? So here we go in Colorado tonight. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for Dallas because you're always going to get him at a really great price here because of the injuries.
Yeah, right there. Speaking of the injuries, we thought he might come back tonight. He's so important for the Dallas Stars, but he's not playing. All right. He seems to be getting closer. All right. But he's not there. Robertson is not going to play game 3 or game 4. He did not travel with the team. Heiskanen did travel. So chance for game 4 that he plays here. Listen, we all know what they say in these 7-game playoff series, right? The series doesn't start to the home game, loses to the home team, loses their first game, right? And Dallas lost the first game at home. They won game 2, a must win, because you're not going to lose your first 2 games at home and then win the series. Going to Colorado can be tough. You're playing in the high air, the altitude and all that here. It's hard not to like the Avalanche tonight, but I'm not laying that price. All right, so instead I went with McKinnon, anytime goal tonight. He's been hot as Hades there. The power play goals seem to be happening over and over again here, and I'm going to go with the over. I think once again we're going to get goals tonight. We have the first 2 games. I don't see why tonight would be any different.
Yeah, well, they're gonna need their goaltender here, Dallas, to do a better job than what he's been doing here at this point. So, and Ratnick coming off the other bench should be interesting for Colorado too, as well, as he's on Dallas now. But pretty big game 3 coming up tonight with Colorado and Dallas, and of course, what a wild one that first one. LA just, no matter what, they win games at home. That's what they do, and Edmonton thought they were going to get him, but they came up short. What happens here tonight in game 2?
That was wild, right? They scored with 3 goals. They tied that game up. If you turned it up, you went to sleep. You went, they won 6-5. They scored a couple late goals. Who cares? No, Edmonton tied that game up. And then, of course, forgot to play defense there. 11 goals in this contest. Listen, I don't think we're going to get 11 tonight, but it's the Oilers. When you're playing the Oilers, I take the over. It's automatic. Or I just take the over here. So give me the over here. I think there's a lot of anytime goal scorers you can play in this game as well. Drysaddle's almost a must. The guy scores every game here. McDavid, it was fantastic last game. I mean, you go with Hyman, who had a goal here. The Kings are a little bit more tricky because they are a more well-rounded team. They actually go 3 lines here. You want Fiala, Kempe, Kopitar, Byfield, any of these guys here. I do like the Kings to win the game. I have them in the series, but I have the series going 7. So for that to happen, I probably need the Oilers to win tonight. That being said, I wonder if they're a little deflated. I said, you come back from a 5-2 deficit under 3 minutes left, and you tie it, and then you lose immediately thereafter. Can be a little deflating here. So I do worry about that. But my favorite play of the night is definitely the over here. Like I said, 5.5 Oilers, it's automatic. I'm going over unless it's minus 165, something silly like that.
Yeah, it's funny. We've gotten a lot of overs so far here in the first couple of games here in round 1, and we saw a 5. I think the opening night, a lot of 5.5s. Now we're starting to see the 6.5s. Dallas and Colorado here. Do you expect it to less scoring to eventually start to be the topic of conversation? Because right now, even Florida, I mean, you had Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky in goal, and nobody was expecting that many goals last night. And voila, 8 goals. But that's been a theme through the entire first round so far.
Yeah, I think go one of 2 directions here. Remember, we have 16 teams, all right, in the playoffs. Not all these teams are great teams here. So you can score easier on goals against them. Also, the refs are calling more. I mentioned power play goals are happening. A lot of power play goals. I do wonder as we move on deeper in series and deeper into the playoffs, the refs go, okay, we're going to let the boys play. We don't want to be as big a part of it here. I think right now they just want to make sure they get control of the series here. Hey, we're going to call this, we're going to call that. But I do think as we move on, we will see less power plays, therefore less goals. However, I don't think it's happening tonight. We're only in game 2s tonight, except for Dallas and Colorado. So I think they still will call the penalties here. But once you get the games 5, 6, 7, deciding games, clinching games, then I think we'll see less power plays.
All right, so speaking of overs here tonight, Kurtz, I believe we have a Dodger Cub game that scored 21 points last night. There is no way it's 75 degrees at Wrigley tonight. Are we not getting another over?
Yeah, plus we don't have the greatest pitching matchup here either. All right, so it's another reason why I'm going the over also here. Listen, Cubs and Dodgers can both hit. The Dodgers haven't really hit their stride yet, literally hit their stride. They're still not hitting a ton. Ohtani really hasn't done much since coming back from having a baby. Congratulations. But we're still waiting for him really to be Ohtani. Mookie Betts has been quiet. He was great after he immediately came back from the food poisoning, whatever he had there, but he's been dead for the last couple of weeks. Maybe he'll wake up tonight. Muncie's been invisible since game 1. So we're still waiting for really the Dodgers to hit their stride here as far as scoring runs is concerned here. That being said, I don't need them to score a lot. I think I think this team gets double digits, even without even team looking great on offense here. So yeah, I'm on the under. I'm on the over Dodgers Cubs.
Yeah, I'm with you. And anything under double digits in athletics home games, I'm going over, Kurtz. Why would we look towards an under, especially with these two pitchers tonight?
Yeah, that's what, as you said, it's like playing in Colorado. You're automatically thinking over. You need to convince me not to go over. And these two pitchers ain't doing it. All right. So, no, I'm going on. I think last night might have been the first game where I watched the whole, it was on the MLB network. So I watched the whole game. The ball jumps out of that ballpark. I'm not saying that they weren't home runs anyway, but the ball jumps out of that ball. It's like it wants to be home runs here. If you're not making it double digits and we don't have Scooble on the mound, I'm going over.
Yeah, no Scooble tonight, but the Pirates and Angels, you do like an under in that one tonight, right?
Oh, once again, we're talking about two offenses that aren't great. You're playing out west in the thick, cool air there. It's not warm yet in LA. And even when it is, the ball doesn't travel very well there. So, yeah, I'm taking an under here. I do like the pitching matchup there. I think they'll be able to keep it's not team, but I think they'll be able to keep it in control.
George Kurtz, always a pleasure, my man. Game Time Decisions continues next on the grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by. And not only are we dealing with both the NBA and the NHL playoffs, of course, Major League Baseball. We had getaway games earlier today. We are just about first pitch here on the 6:40 Eastern time games. We'll keep you posted on those, but we are also inching just that much closer to the 2025 NFL draft. And of course, we have got you covered here on the Sports Grid Network all day tomorrow and tomorrow night here, as all eyes are going to be on whether or not, seems to be the big question, where does Shedeur Sanders go here? One of the more polarizing players in this year's class. And boy, oh boy, the last time I've seen, the favorite to draft him was the Pittsburgh Pirates. But at Cam Ward being the number one overall pick at minus 20,000 to 1 is, I would imagine Cam Ward is probably a good bet that he will go first to Tennessee, unless, of course, somebody trades up or does that. And of course, you listen and believe only half of what you have been getting and what you are seeing just in the last 24 to 48 hours. Reports that the Giants could trade out of the 3 spot. The Browns are also considering it. Now, listen, it's not a great quarterback draft by any stretch of the imagination. I still think Cam Ward is a interception waiting to happen, and I don't know how that's going to change if he gets to be the number one overall pick. But now all of a sudden we're starting to get phone calls and teams, the leaks that the Browns and the Giants might be looking to swap picks or might be looking to move down. Abdul Carter, of course, Travis Hunter is a big name being thrown around. As so is Ashton Genty as a possible top 5 pick. But we're also starting to see some good odds for Shedeur Sanders. And whether or not Pittsburgh being the favorite to pick him up at some point in the draft is an interesting narrative there, because, okay, at some point, well, when are they getting him? Because right now, I believe the odds for him to be a top 5 pick, and just in a top 5, I think is 5 to 1 here, if we're looking at that market. 5 to 1 for a quarterback, and we all know how the draft works, right? He is, obviously, I still think he's the best quarterback in there. I think he's got the biggest upside as a quarterback. But Cam Ward seems to be everyone's favorite that's going to go at the top of this draft. Well, all right. His playing partner there, Travis Hunter, also seems to be going somewhere in that top 5 here. But where does Shedeur go if he doesn't go top 5? You can still get him at top 10, I believe, at plus 210 right now, I believe was the number we're looking at that. So you can still get him at plus money. Does anybody believe that Shedeur is not going to go, or at least be a top 10 pick in what is, again, a very quarterback-needy draft? And it makes sense that the Pittsburgh Steelers would need a quarterback because, well, right now they really don't have one. They got a lot of quarterbacks, but none of them are a quarterback. That's the problem with the Steelers right now. So it makes sense. But, man, him falling out of the top 10 is going to be interesting. And to me, I think a lot has to do with what did the Giants do? Are the Giants going to go and get him? Are they going to move down? The Browns? Well, there is a lot of question marks, I think, in this draft. But with the odds we're getting with the number 1 overall pick, it appears Cameron Ward is the shoo-in for that to happen. Now, again, Tennessee's been telling me how much they love him, and you know what happens every draft year when we hear about how teams and guys can't miss. You know what happens? Well, somebody gets traded out, somebody does something, and all of a sudden everything you thought was up is now down. This feels like one of those drafts where just when you think you have an idea of where a team is going to go, without any clear-cut franchise quarterbacks that can come in and affect the team right away, this is going to be anybody's draft here. A lot of offensive linemen could be, and teams like the Giants or Cleveland, who need a lot of help, a ton of help, be willing to gain assets to trade out of those top couple of spots. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting draft tomorrow night. And again, I would not be shocked if there is shuffling up at the top of the board, but I'd be really shocked if Shedeur Sanders lands outside the top 10 there. So at plus 210 right now, I mean, I think that's a pretty good deal. But don't forget, he was at one point, I believe, minus money to be in the top 10, and now we can get him at plus money. So there has been a lot swirling around Shedeur Sanders. But the bottom line is he is a quarterback. He's going to be a quarterback in the NFL, and teams need quarterbacks. So I'd be shocked and be willing to bet that he definitely goes in the top 10, whether that means somebody goes up and gets him or not. But I can't see him falling in the mid-teens by any stretch here. And Pittsburgh, if you want him, well, go get him here at plus 3-1 there. What is that? Yeah, that doesn't seem like a bad situation for Pittsburgh either. But with his luck and my luck as a Jet fan, the Jets will go in and draft him for some unknown reason. They'll probably trade out of everything to go get him because the Jets will always jet, and that's what happens there. So get ready. We got NFL draft around the corner. That is always a fun time. It's a time of year where we can all hope that our teams will do the right thing, and ultimately we all know they won't. That's how it works. But we'll have you covered all day tomorrow on the draft. In the meantime, we'll get you updated with the playoffs in the NBA next year on Game Time Decisions.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one because you're so far out of the West? You get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and of course, getting ready here in just a few minutes to start the slate of games in the association tonight. The playoffs are here, and so is, well, you're not going to believe this number. The Boston Celtics, who didn't look good early in that first half in that game one against the Orlando Magic, but put it together enough in the second half to be able to run away with that game. Well, it looks like the markets have reacted. I mean, if it's one thing about Orlando, we know defensively this is a tough team to score on. The good news, though, for teams like Boston playing Orlando is that we all know it's tough for them to score. Outside of Paolo Banchero, he was like one of the only bright spots offensively for the Magic in that game one. I think he got 36 points, 27 shots. He was used just about every time. 37% was his usage rate in that game because he's it. So, and we know that the Boston Celtics at the same time, well, we know they can shoot the three, can't they? So it always comes down with the Celtics that if they make enough threes and put enough distance between them and Orlando, everything will be fine. But look at the total, folks. It's 196.5. We're talking about a team that opened up as a 12-point favorite. It's now down to 10.5, and we're talking about a total that's sitting in the 196.5 range. That is absolutely absurd. So my question is, how many points is Boston? No Jason Tatum tonight, and that is a big loss for them right now. We also know Boston thought they were very physical, Orlando. They're not happy with the fact that they lost Tatum for this game and hopefully not many more. But my goodness, that is what we have seen in these first couple of games in the NBA. You can't tell me these games are being officiated like a regular season game in any way, shape, or form. It's across the board, by the way. So I don't know whether or not this has kind of been a mandate from the league to come down that they said, let them play. We don't want the refs involved in these games where, teams are getting 40 free throws there because we're blowing the whistle every 2 minutes. My goodness, this is a throwback. Just watching the Knicks play against Detroit those first two games, you can't tell me that was like anything we have seen over the last couple of seasons here in the NBA. It has been absolutely fun to watch where teams who get to 100 first are likely going to win. And this is exactly what this game is set up for with a total of 196.5. And Orlando is a top 5 team from defending the perimeter. So threes are never going to be easy for the Boston Celtics here tonight. No Tatum to me. I think the prop market's going to be huge tonight. I think just go over anything with Paolo Banchero. I think his point prop was 25.5. I told you he had 36 on 27 shots in game one. Nothing is going to change offensively for Orlando. I think if you can get him under maybe 26.5, I would go over Paolo Banchero's point total here. And then, of course, I got to look to Jaylen Brown and his point prop up and over. So no Jason Tatum because of the wrist. He only had 17 points in game one. He did have 22 shot attempts, though. Brown only had 16 points in game one, mainly because he only took 14 shots. In 7 games this year where Brown played and Tatum was not on the court, he averaged just about 23 points a game. I expect him to get a significant amount of those 22 shots that Tatum took in game one. I expect him to get those. I also expect him to be the catalyst for this Boston Celtics team. He averaged, by the way, 25 points at home this year for the Celtics. So I think Jaylen Brown is the guy you need to focus in on for the Celtics here tonight. He'll make up the difference for Tatum. But my goodness, can you imagine sweating out an under of 196.5? Another one I'll tell you, too, is the Celtics' first half team total, 54.5. They didn't score 50 in the first game in the first half. Are they going to do that in this one? Oh, boy, this is going to be fun. Get ready. The boxing gloves are off in Boston as the Magic and Celtics coming your way, and we have got you covered with the rest of the slate for another hour next here on Game Time Decisions.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one because you're so far out of the West? Do you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Off another hour together, rather, as we are getting ready for the opening tip here of the Orlando Magic at the Boston Celtics. Game 2 of their series here. The NBA playoffs is upon us here. Again, what a unbelievably crazy total of 196.5. But it's kind of hard not to see with what we got in the first game. And we saw, of course, Jason Tatum not be available. He got his wrist got injured in that first game there, and they didn't look all that great in the game, to be completely honest. The problem is neither did the Orlando Magic offensively. Now, we all know the Orlando Magic can score or can play defense here. They score in spurts. Look at the first game. They scored 18 points in the first quarter. The Celtics scored 26, and then they dropped 31 in the second. They outscored the Celtics by 1 in the first half, 49-48. Celtics were only able to manage 22 points in that second quarter. The difference came in the third and fourth quarter, where the Celtics defensively clamped down, and then all of a sudden the shots were not falling for the Magic. They got outscored 30-18 in the third, and then 25-19 in the fourth. They only managed 86 points in that game. So the question is, has the market completely overreacted, thinking this total should be in the mid 190s because Jason Tatum is not there, and because we know of the offensive woes to the Magic? But I can tell you that 31 points in the second quarter tells me they're more than capable, especially early, I think, in this game, of keeping it close with the Boston Celtics. They're getting 6.5 in the first half. They won the first half outright in game 1. I think they keep this thing close in game 2 early, and then ultimately I think just too much talent, too much firepower for the Boston Celtics coming up here, and that game is just about to tip off. And then at the bottom of this hour, get ready, because the Miami Heat are coming to town, or at least to a TV near you. They're in Cleveland right now, and boy, oh boy, it was a rough game 1 for the Miami Heat, and I'll tell you why. It was rough for the Miami Heat because they had to win, don't forget, not 1, but 2 playoff games play-in games in order to even get to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that second game they had to win was in Atlanta, and it was in overtime. And then 24 hours later, they had to go and they had to take on the Cavs. Now, listen, they did a great job early on, but we all know, look at these totals. Defense wins in the playoffs. And let's also be honest here, the defense was pretty darn impressive across the board. Also, the way the refs are calling these games tends for more physical and defensive teams to do a pretty good job of limiting some teams that can fill up the bucket. And I think with the rest advantage that the Cavs had in that first game and how the game flew over the original total, and they dropped 121 points. I think 221 is what the final total point was in that game. Well, now we're down to what, 212 and a half, and that's still 2-3 points lower than what we had in the first game. I think defense comes to play tonight with both Cleveland and Miami. I think Spoelstra, we all know, his changing up the lineups and his ability to be able to put guys in spots and throw curveballs to other teams in the playoffs is legendary. I think this game is going to be the rock fight of the night. You wouldn't know it with that 212.5 total, though, would you? Because we're looking at Boston and Orlando being 196.5. But I think this is the rock fight here tonight. I think the Miami Heat come out, a lot of defense. They are going to make each other, and Cleveland is very good at this too. They're going to make buckets hard to come by here. I think Miami was a little bit tired with that, with how many games they had to play in order to be able to get there. I think defensively, they'll be up to the task here to try to keep this thing close. Will they win it? And, well, stranger things have happened. Never bet against, Coach Spoelstra and the Miami Heat in the playoffs. Anything is possible. But I also don't think that this is going to be some sort of 120 to 110 kind of situation. I think this is going to be an under game here tonight. And we've seen the zigzag hit last night. I think one of 3 games last night saw teams bounce back. The Lakers, of course, being one of those. And a lot of people think Miami Heat could be another one of those big dogs tonight that cash a ticket. Well, the other game, the late game between Houston and the Golden State Warriors, well, my goodness, the Rockets are a home favorite here. I think they're laying 4. They lost the first game at home, and I think it was a big learning experience, much like how Detroit in the second half of game 1 against the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden, they looked like a deer caught in the headlights. But you know what they did? They figured it out in game 2, didn't they? Ended up pulling that win out outright at the Garden. Now we've got a Golden State team, very experienced, Jimmy and Steph, and yes, I get it all, but this is a very well-coached and extremely talented Houston team and the coach is going to put it together. I have a feeling here, with the Golden State Warriors' main focus, steal home field advantage, the home court advantage, which they did in game 1. Not the end of the world for Golden State if they don't win this game. It is the end of the world for, I think, the Houston Rockets. They cannot go back to Golden State down 2 games to none. I think this is the game tonight where, and all the money, by the way, all day, I think they opened up as a 1-point favorite. I'm seeing 4s now, so it's been all Houston Rockets money, and I agree with it. I think the Houston Rockets come to play tonight. They were not a good shooting team in that first game. They missed a lot of wide open shots. The experience of Golden State ended up winning out. I definitely think we are going to get a big effort from the Houston Rockets here tonight. I think Amen Thompson shows up, and I think Houston grows up much like the Detroit Pistons did in that second game, Madison Square Garden. Only they won't have that same kind of pressure because they'll be home, and the Rocket fans here will lead them to a win and a cover. And I think going back to 2018, home favorites, much like what the Lakers were in game 1 and like Houston was in game 1, home favorites who lose game 1 in the first round They are now 12-1 in the second game against the number. So the zigzag theory works really, really well when you're dealing with home favorites coming off a loss in that game one. And that is exactly what we've got with the Houston Rockets here tonight. So Houston, I am expecting to even this series up. And I think all three games are going to be very interesting, not to mention the three that we've got in the NHL tonight as the Stanley Cup playoffs are alive and well. Just ask Toronto Maple Leaf fans. No sweat last night, right? I mean, who didn't see that? Oh, my word. What is going on? Why is Ottawa even? Oh, my. Yeah. 2-0 turned into heartache and the sweats last night. And I know my next guest here, Cam Stewart, I think he's still sweating, having watched that game all night last night. But the good news is they won and they're up 2-0. Can other teams, though, zigzag their way tonight into wins? We'll run it by Cam as Game Time Decisions continues here on the grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. I'm joined by my good friend Cam Stewart in the house. And Cam, I was joking earlier. I'm going, man, Toronto Maple Leafs fans, they probably turned the TV off after the first 2-0 against Ottawa. The Battle of it's going to be a clean sweep until, of course,
no, it's not.
It was Sweat City, Cam. What in the... But it wouldn't be Toronto hockey, right? It wouldn't be Maple Leafs hockey if there was a little sweat involved here early on.
Oh, Joe, like call me Paul Pacemaker. Like the way things are going with these guys. I see all the old guys at the old age home. They're like, oh, okay. Like nothing's. You said it. Like the Leafs will not make anything clean. They can. Remember, they were up 4-1 to Boston. They lost. Like I don't expect anything. It's a great start. You're up 2-0. Now you go to Ottawa. But Joe, the shocker is you and your alias Stanley C. Panther, Joe Raineri. Everybody's on the Lightning, and Metallica ride the Lightning. The Lightning. It was basically a drizzle. The Florida Panthers, the Cats, they just can't. And nobody never count out these guys. Reinhardt's a beast. Everybody on that team is so damn good, and you get playoff Bob a lot of the time. This guy figures it out. So right now, Joe, good start by you. Everybody was on Tampa. I'm one of them. I made a mistake, but smashed the Wild. But we move on. As my boy Morency says, we don't live in the past. We got games tonight. And I look like a lot of dogs. I think a lot of these dogs are being disrespected in the marketplace. These plus 1.5s, or you could even lay juice in them and put them in parlays. But I think Montreal was very nervous in that first game, Joe. And then they came out and pretty well took it to Washington. So I think you're going to give me plus 155. I will take a shot with the Les Habitants of Montreal. The late game, I do love Edmonton. Like, I think Edmonton, I know LA jumped on them, but I'm a big Edmonton guy to tie it up. I do believe in the zigzag tonight, Joe. And I think the craziest thing is people think Colorado is automatically going to win this game because they're at home. I know Dallas has injuries, but I'm playing these dogs tonight. And a lot of these plus 1.5 parlays, round robins. But I would say out of them all, Edmonton's probably my favorite. Dallas, number 2, and Montreal. Like, I don't know, Joe. You know me and dogs. Like, you took the Panthers. They were a dog, and dogs have been starting. The NHL playoffs started with a lot of chalk. It looks like the dogs are coming in. A lot of these series are going to be extended, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yep. And I got news for you. I think the under in that Colorado Dallas game is interesting too, because no way does Dallas want a shootout here. They're going to need Ottinger to stand on his head. He's got to do a better job than what he is doing. But we saw this too, I think, last year, where, of course, Dallas loses game 1, then Colorado comes back, wins game 2, or they come back, win game 2, and then it was like a 2-1 game in game 3 in Colorado. It feels like maybe these two teams settle down. Now it's not up 1 apiece. 6.5, the biggest total on the board here tonight. Feels like it's a little excessive here for these two teams who know each other pretty well here. No, Cam?
Yeah, I agree, Joe. You lay down the 6.5 early and then you play it in game. And I've been noticing the one thing I'm doing is people like, how the hell is Minnesota going to get to score goals? Well, they did. They got these 5.5s are going over. That's the thing. The games you least expect, like Edmonton and LA, that would turn into a 6-5 hockey game, for God's sakes, with Skinner in the net for Edmonton. And Edmonton has the firepower to come back. So these are the 5.5s I'm looking over, the 6.5 under. The Montreal game, I really don't know. It's a 5.5. I guess leaning over in that one, because I think the Canadians might have to score 3 or 4 goals to win that game. And I really like what I saw from them in the third period. Joe, the Toronto Blue Jays, what is it? As I told you, it's that guy, Leisure Suit Larry. He goes to the bar. He's on fire for a while. Next thing you know, woman's gone, money's gone.
Can't hit.
No. That's what I'm telling. It's amazing. You're getting pitching. I know Bassett got hit. He's been amazing this year. He got hit early, but still, you're only giving up a few runs. They're the under team of the year. Where are these bats? That's the whole thing you expect from these guys. It's unreal. I'm going to come to them tonight. I really like Bowden Francis. Joe, you know baseball, playing NCAA ball. This kid's special. I think it's a get-right game for the Jays tonight. It's a pick 'em. I'm going to take them. I also will lay a little bit of juice with the Cubs against the Dodgers. And late tonight, Joe, I must be insane, but Sears Roebuck, I know Sears is out of business, but that pitcher's not. I'm going to take Oakland in the late game in baseball. I like the, what do we call, sorry, not Oakland. We just call them the Athletics now, the Sacramento A's.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. NBA. Yes. What are we going to do? I don't know what we're going to do in the NBA. I'm leaning Orlando as a dog. Miami, I'll take a chance with, but the one favorite, I'm coming back. I was right on the total under in the Houston game, first game, but I can't lie to you. I was on them in the first game, and that was a bad bet. But I think Houston shows up tonight and gets it done and beats Golden State. That's what I'm looking at tonight, Joe.
Yeah, I'm with you here, Cam. I think that these home favorites in game 1s that lose, like the Lakers did, and they bounced back in a big way. And I think Too good a coach in Houston, too much firepower, a ton of talent. I think they get it done and head back tied at 1 apiece. And by the way, how bad are the Orioles? They're losing 3-0 already to
That was
the
my
Nationals.
I'm loving this, Joe. That was my team total, like season total wins under. That was the one team I picked on. Keep losing, Baltimore. Yeah, they're another.
Wow.
Yeah, the Orioles. I just there's something about that team. They're different now. They lost Santander to the Jays, and that pitching staff reeks. That's the one thing about Baltimore. You can hit, but you can't pitch. Like, I look up and down that roster. I'm not afraid of anybody on their as their starters.
Nope.
They lost a lot of bullpen guys, as you know, over the past couple years. So I think they're a team that they're going to have to slug. If Baltimore's winning it, they basically have to score a hell of a lot of runs, Joe. You know that.
Did you look at all at the Zurich in New Orleans?
Yeah, I got bets.
Different kind of tournament. What do you got there for us here? A little different tournament here.
Yeah, Billy Horschel, he hit the bricks, so I got to take him out. But this course is going to play wet in New Orleans. I like Taylor Moore and Wyndham Clark as one of my favorite bets at 25-1, Joe. Scotty Farrell calls me the Prime Minister. Canadian content with the Leafs. We'll go with Nick the Dentist, Taylor, and Adam Hadwin at 40. And people don't know about Theodore Bjornsson and Phillips. They both played golf at Stanford. Watch out for these guys. Theodore Bjornsson almost won in Punta Cana this weekend. So I'm taking a lot of those guys who played well in that tournament. A great price. Top 10s. I got JT, the Poston always delivers with Keith Mitchell. I actually love them a lot. And watch out for Novocaine. We almost got it home with them last week, but Novocaine and Ben Griffin. If you like top 20s, the international feel, Fox, Higo, Spence, and Norgard. Let's party.
Got to love it. Cam Stewart in the house. Stay right there, Cam. Game Time Decisions continues after this.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do a crazy one because you're so far out of the West? Do you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Quite the battle at the Boston or TD Garden right now as the Celtics down 1 to the Orlando Magic with under 3 minutes to go in the first one there. 17-16 right now in that one, Cam. I got to ask you, though, it's in these the golf here, the favorites for this. Some of these prices are just absurd right now. There's no money in these tournaments with these favorites.
What are you going to, this is the thing, Joe. Like, and I understand golf bettors are greedy, and Gabe and I talk about it all the time. We're always trying to get more, but this is just stupid. This is a team that Rory McIlroy's winning the Masters. I don't know if him and Shane Lowry are deep in the Jameson or in the Guinness, whatever the hell they're drinking. 3 plus 360 in like a best ball alternate shot. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what is this? The member guest? So you're telling me the next best team of Morikawa and Kurt Kitayama are like 9 points worth? Like, anyway, these guys barely won the tournament last time too. Like, Nick Taylor was there before. Like, I'm telling you, I just find it absolutely insane at this number. And this is not a stroke play event. This is a team event. And if one guy goes south, you can go south. I remember when Sanjay M was chipping in for Eagle and this, and Mitchell was missing putts and stuff like that. Sometimes you need both guys to be on, and sure, you can bet them due to name value, but that's just a horrible price. And if these guys win at plus 360, shame on me, whatever. But I like, honestly, like, people, Joe, you know golf betting, like, that's stupid. Like a stroke play event, Rory against these slugs, sure, 4 or 5 to 1, you're fine. It's a friggin' team event, and you're laying like barely over 3.5 to 1. That's wrong.
I like the kid Gracerman there.
So do I.
Also, and that whole duo there, Echevarria too, at what, 30, 40 to 1 here. See, to me, this is that tournament where you're going to get the combo of these guys that have just been short, but are trying to make a name for themselves at big prices. That's where I think it's coming from. And you mentioned the Canadian duo, right? Hadwin and was it Taylor? Who came second a couple of years ago? They're at 40 to 1.
Yeah, I'm getting Nick the Dentist, Taylor, and Adam Hadwin at 40 to 1 here. Like that's a great price. And like your guy, that's the thing. Horschel, by the way, guys, those Horschel bets will be voided. He's out. So I was thinking, Joe, what team do I put in? I was looking at Poston and Mitchell. They're 18 to 1. And then I thought about what your group is. Gracerman and Echevarria. Gracerman is like, he's an up-and-comer, and Nico Echevarria is a top 5, top 10 machine. Like, these guys actually have good parallel games for each other. So you guys, Joe Raineri knows what he's talking about right now. So if Rory and Shane Lowry win, so be it. But the difference between them and the rest of the field is absolutely insane, Joe. And that's the one. Like, Novak and Griffin. How many times has Ben Griffin just come up short with Novak? Like, they're a guy for my top 10s and top 20s. So that's what I'm doing. I'm actually going to probably add Nico Echevarria's team with Gracerman because I had Horschel and Hoagie, and they're gone. That team, Horschel withdrew.
And what is Cam? What is the next major we've got coming up? The PGA? Is that or what is the second major on the card this year?
When's Mother's Day? Because they
3 weeks.
Yeah, so that would be. What would that be? The U.S. Like, what is it? Isn't it U.S. Open PGA?
I thought they moved the PGA ahead. The PGA May 15th at Quail Hollow. That's the next major.
Okay. And then we got the U.S. Open at Oakmont, correct? Yeah, PGA Championship, Quail Hollow at North Carolina. Ooh, that course is a killer. Yep. And then you're right, Joe. And then in June 2nd to 15th, we got the U.S. Open at Oakmont. Rory might be dangerous in that event, but because that course is going to play pretty long. But I'll tell you, this week, this tournament is up for grabs, people. So, like, you could look at some of these teams 40 plus, and you could be in a really good spot because it's madness. Like, you don't bet favorites this week. This is the week you take a shot with like anybody but the guys at the top.
No. And what is the outright upset winner in this first round of the NHL? Who's the dog that is going to win the series in advance, Cam, you think?
What a great question, Joe. I'm starting to think, like, I might be nuts. Like, I think Dallas could be a dangerous dog. A lot of people in Colorado. I think the Minnesota Wild could beat Vegas. Like, am I insane?
Like, they're healthy finally. They're finally healthy, Cam.
I'm watching the Gustafson's a good goal. I've watched the first 2 games on the road, and they've been the better team. So
absolutely.
I know I don't know. Minnesota, I know they have a history of choking, and their fan base has been tortured, but I'm actually cheering for Minnesota too. I hope they do well. I knocked them, Joe. I said, no, they shouldn't even deserve to be in the playoffs. I take it back. They might beat Vegas outright.
I agree.
Minnesota at 7.
I agree, and I'm going to be on them. Cam Stewart, enjoy it. We'll see you
Love you,
later.
Joe.
Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one because you're so far out of the West? Do you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. A quick update it is a rock fight. Boston and Orlando right now, 22-21. Boston with the slight edge at home, game 2 of this series. No Jason Tatum there, but they are just up a point here. And again, this thing is trending to the under. And I'll say it again. The lack of whistles is refreshing in the NBA because they are letting them play. They're letting them hand check. They're letting them, it's got to be egregious for them to be blowing whistles right now. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we're not even getting 50 points a quarter right now between these two teams. So 30 seconds ago, 22-21, no score, Montreal and Washington with 7 minutes ago in game 2 of that NHL series there. Let's welcome in our good friend Brady Cannon in the house, ready to go here as finally, Brady, JT makes a putt on an extra hole. And of course, I didn't have him, but kudos to him. It was a good win. It's good to see him back in the winner's circle. For the life of me, I don't understand why we don't get that Justin Thomas more often, but I guess such is life here. But he has been playing better this year, consistently this year, than we have seen him in years past.
He's been so erratic. I mean, it's like he shoots a course record one day and shoots, 79 the next. And I always go through this with Justin Thomas. He gets in like a slump and his odds start to drift. And I'm like, okay, when is the right time to jump on this guy? And obviously I'm kicking myself that I didn't jump on him last week. And I've tried him a couple times here and there. Didn't have him at the Valspar, and obviously didn't get it done there. But yeah, it was coming sooner rather than later, and unfortunately we missed that one. But you're right, good to see him back. And I tell you what's going to happen. We knew Rory, obviously off of the Masters and going to Quail Hollow for the PGA, where he's won 3 or 4 times in his career, is going to come in there with a ton of hype. Well, now JT is as well, because now he's got to win. Yep. And the last time the PGA was at Quail Hollow was in 2017. And guess who won? Justin Thomas. So those two guys are going to come into Charlotte, North Carolina in a couple weeks with a lot of hype behind them.
Yep, it was good to see it in the pressure. It's been 3 years since he's been in the winner's circle, so good stuff there. It was a much-deserved week off there for Rory, but he is back at it with his good friend Shane Lowry this week at the Zurich Classic. It's not a stroke play event. It's a team event. It's that, they throw in here that is always a little hard to keep track of. And how are we scoring this again? But him and Shane Lowry, certainly 3-1, deserved favorites, but my goodness, I can't imagine these two laying it all out on the line to pull out a win here. It feels like this could be a tournament where a good 30, 40, 50 or more plus, to win could very well happen with some guys that are trying to win anything at this point.
There's no doubt about it, Joe. It's a very random tournament. It's very difficult to handicap. You don't have any hard and fast data. Okay, there's not any stats listed for what Rory and Shane Lowry do together as a team, or what Keith Mitchell and JT Poston do together as a team. You can only handicap them as individuals, and then try and figure there's going to be some team chemistry. The handicap this week is very qualitative, not quantitative. So I have dumbed down the risk quite a bit because, the results, it's really hard to pick a winner when you don't have that basis of statistical information to go off of. And you know what? The tournament's fun. Just throw a little funny money on it, have some fun with it. You see the camaraderie between these guys. I've really started to enjoy this event when they made it a team format beginning in 2017. And I think the players have really started to embrace it as well. But favorites have come out on top. I think it's 4 out of the last 5 events, 4 out of the last 5 editions of the Zurich Classic here. You've had the winner at 20-1 or less. But evidence to what you're talking about, the randomness, and it's a good week for possible long shots. Shane Lowry and Rory McIlroy won last year in a playoff over Chad Ramey and Martin Traynor. Who? So... yeah, feel free to take a guy at 100 or a team at 100-1, 50-1, 200-1, because there's always going to be some random teams on this leaderboard that show up on Sunday. And I've kind of littered my card with a few front runners and a few long shots.
Yeah, past winners, you're right. Nick Hardy, Davis Riley.
Long
before
shots,
that,
right.
Cantley and Xander
favorites,
were there. Leishman, Cameron Smith. It's like, my goodness. But we've gotten some decent numbers. It's a very flat course from what I understand here, Brady, but it is Pete Dye, so there's got to be a 9 trillion bunkers in it, I'm sure, here. So it feels like the rough is not going to be thick. Guys can have some fun and a lot of birdies, I think, coming this weekend.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to look at guys that make a lot of birdies. The winning score proposition you and I always talk about is 26.5 under par this week. And keep in mind, on Thursday and Saturday, they play best ball. They'll each play their own ball, and the lowest score between the two is recorded as the team score. That's where they can really go low. Guys can put up a 10 under par in that format. On Friday and Sunday, they go alternate shot, which is much more difficult. It's not out of the ordinary to see them go 10 under par when they're playing best ball and even par in alternate shot. But yeah, I think, 26, 27, even 30 under par is possible here. I went with Poston and Mitchell. I think they have very complementary skill sets. Both guys are playing really well right now. Mitchell, real good off the tee. Poston, very good around the greens. I went with Wyndham Clark and Taylor Moore. Again, complementary skill sets. Clark, really good on and around the greens. Moore, very strong off the tee. Ben Griffin and Andrew Novak I took at 25-1. Both guys have had excellent starts to this season. Novak, of course, runner-up, loser in the playoff to JT last week at Harbortown. And those guys were all in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 to 1, more front-runner type selections. But the two long shot teams I took were Doug Gim and Chan Kim. Doug Gim always plays Pete Dye courses really well. Both of these guys are premier ball strikers. If they can just make some birdies and make some putts, I think they'll be in the mix. I've seen them take some money at some very sharp books as well. So somebody thinking the same way I am here. And then the other one, a couple of tour rookies who have really made a splash this year, and that's Ryan Gerard and Danny Walker. Gerard's only missed one cut this entire year so far. I think he's got 2 or 3 top 10 finishes. He's been very good. And then Danny Walker, his really coming out party was at a Pete Dye course, TPC Sawgrass, just a month ago or so when he finished 6th. You probably remember him there coming down the stretch on Sunday. So these guys make birdies in bunches. They both rank top 10 in this field this week, the last 24 rounds for birdies or better gains. So, a couple of flyers there with Walker and Gerard and Gim and Kim. And then, like I say, a few front runners. We'll see what happens.
Now, not the only tour playing this week here, Brady. I understand you've been dabbling in on the LPGA as well here. What are we looking at?
Yeah, the ladies headed to the club at Carlton Woods for the first major of the season, the Chevron. And I've got a video up there at lpga.com. 5 selections. And again, some front runners and some long shots. I went with Lim Kim at 25 to 1. Lauren Coughlin at 25 to 1. And then Yasimi No at 40 to 1. I've seen her down as low as 25 or 30 to 1. And then a couple of long bombs, Carlota Siganda at 70 to 1. And then Nana Courts Madsen also at 70 to 1. We'll see if we can get one on the ladies' side this week.
I have no doubt that we will, and we will be tailing each and every one of those, Brady. Always a pleasure, my man. Let's cash the tickets. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one, because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker, because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. As we'll take a look, by the way, an update 33-26 now to Celtics on top of the Orlando Magic. Still got about 6.5, 7 minutes to go in the second quarter there. But we're about 2.5 minutes left in the first period. Montreal and Washington, no score. Washington leading this series 1-0. Let's welcome in our good friend Joe Madden here, keeping an eye on these Habs tonight, who I know they were a trendy dog here today. I mean, I don't think anybody was all impressed with having to, wait for a 90-year-old Ovechkin to score an overtime goal to get Washington win. Everyone thought Washington should have won that game rather easily, but listen, say what you want. I mean, this Montreal team, if they can get this win tonight, I can't imagine what that arena is going to be like for Game 3 with Montreal playing postseason hockey. Those fans will be beside themselves. Did you give them a shot here tonight to get it done?
Yeah, I absolutely did. I gave them the biggest shot here in the first period, expecting them to bring that momentum from the last game. Now, I know they didn't win the last game, Joe, but the way they looked in that third period was outstanding. They finally gained that confidence, scoring 2 goals within 10 minutes to push that 1-2 OT. So they should have been really proud of the effort they were able to put in. So coming into this game, I did ride with them in the first period here. It's a 0-0 first period so far. So it doesn't look like that bet's going to cash unless we see a nice quick goal in the last couple of minutes here. But for the rest of the game, I do think they have every ability. I'll be coming back in on them as soon as we're off here on that money line to get the win for the full game. I'm going to look at Nick Suzuki and Kyle Caulfield parlayed for the point. You were able to get that pregame at plus 103. You're probably going to get more value now that a whole first period is almost done.
It almost feels like, unless I'm losing it here, Suzuki and Caulfield, they have to just take them, over a half a point every. There's nobody else on his team that can score. Am I right, Joe? I mean, just always when it comes to the prop betting market, we should just expect them to get points, no?
Yeah, absolutely. You look at both Nick Suzuki and Kyle Caulfield, they're so strong out there, and they are the main forces out there on the ice. It's a weird night if you don't see both of them getting a point on the board, especially if one scores. And in that last game, 7 shots out of Nick Suzuki, 5 shots out of Kyle Caulfield, and 1 goal. So it was a good game for both of them. They were both able to score, and I do think in this one, you're just going to look at it. But here, the Capitals are doing a great job at limiting those shots on goal, holding Montreal currently to only 4 shots while they put up 10. So defense is the name of this first period, and it looks like we're going to stay under the 1.5 as the 20-second mark has just hit.
Yeah. It's been very physical. Not a lot of great chances by Washington, but again, an anytime Ovechkin prop, I'm sure, is in a lot of people's pockets here tonight. But what about this Game 3 with Dallas and Colorado here? Back to Colorado. Dallas evens it up with a 4-3 overtime win, a much-needed win. And if I'm not mistaken, Colorado, I guess Landeskog is back, who hasn't played a game in, 3 years? When he blew his knee out, which was unbelievable. But, boy, I can't imagine what that building's going to be like here tonight. How are we playing it?
It's going to be absolutely rocking. And you bring up a good point. Gabriel Landeskog back in this lineup tonight should be impactful straight out of the gate. We know he's been playing at the lower level down there for a handful of games. And I do think, Joe, he is ready to make a huge impact for this team. The uptick in morale is going to be fantastic. So I'm taking Gabriel Landeskog for an anytime goal. It's coming in at plus 290. And I think this is a game where the Avs come back home and absolutely dominate. We saw in Game 1 them dominate over the Dallas Stars, winning that 5-1. Now, Dallas was able to get back in that last game, win it in overtime over Colorado in that 4-3 style, and I just don't see it here in Colorado, them being able to do so. So look for the Colorado Avalanche to not only win and cover the puck line in the first period, laying a half a goal, but probably the puck line for the full game. And then I think the best bet, just look at their team total. Again, over 3.5. I know we didn't get there in the last game, but I do think minimum of 4 goals out of Colorado in this one, coming in at minus 116. And then I know a lot of people want to take Nathan MacKinnon for his 2+ points, and I do think he gets there, Joe. The problem is The books have it basically even money for 2+ points for Nathan McKinnon. Look at one of his line mates here, Kale McCarr, on that top defensive pairing. He's also in the top power play. He's coming in 2+ points at +240. I'd rather get that because he has every chance. If Nathan McKinnon's getting 2 points, Kale McCarr should be as well.
Love that. All right, that's the second game. Then, of course, the craziness tonight. Game 2 in LA with the Kings taking on the Oilers. Joe, I thought that game was all 4-1 heading into the third. I almost turned it off, and I'm so glad I didn't because I should know better with Edmonton. You can never count them out, but they still lost, Joe, and it feels like maybe the tides are turning. They have owned the Kings in the playoffs over the last couple of years. Is this the Kings' year to get it done and get 2 games up to none?
You know, I look at the LA Kings, and if they're able to get past the Edmonton Oilers, and I think they do get another win tonight, whoever comes out of the Wild and the Vegas bracket, I do think they can go right to the Western Conference. So I'm looking for this Kings team to come out so strong in this matchup tonight. I know that Edmonton fought their way back, but Darcy Kemper is such a stronger goaltender than Stuart Skinner. The goals that came on Stuart Skinner were weaker ones. They were able to convert 2 of 5 power play attempts, and they completely killed off every single attempt that Edmonton had out there, and Edmonton controlled those faceoffs. And it's crazy to think Edmonton controlled the faceoffs and had the power play opportunities and weren't able to get anything done. This defense here of the LA Kings is legit. Goaltending's legit. And I think they come out and dominate in this one. And as a Flames fan, you know I absolutely love it, Joe. So I'm going to look at the Oilers team total. I don't want to go to the full game total because I could see the Kings putting up 4 or 5 goals in this game. But the Oilers, I struggle to see 2 goals out of them. I'll take under 2.5 goals at +108. Darcy Kemper over 24.5 save shots on goal at -114. And then Quinton Byfield, he has that depth. He can get a point tonight. It's -118, 2+ points at +460.
Love it, Joe. It's time to cash some tickets here tonight. We got a lot going on here, and kudos to my Florida Panthers for getting it done last night. Joe, we'll see you soon. Game Time Decisions closes out next here on the Grid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. We appreciate you hanging with us here on this Wednesday as, well, we got a lot going on here right now. In fact, the NBA playoffs, not one but two games underway right now with the Celtics, a 41-35 lead over the Orlando Magic. 5.5 minutes ago in the second on that one. Also, the Miami Heat underway in their game 2 in Cleveland against the Cavaliers, and Miami out in front 16-7 right now. They were getting 12.5 points in that one, as was the Orlando Magic, by the way, to start this game. It was bet down to 10.5. The current in-game number looking right around that, 11.5 with the Celtics right now, but it's 41-35. Also, we said that in-game total was, wow, 196.5. Well, it's 193.5 in game. So it's trending right around there. The question is, which one of these teams is going to go on a big enough offensive run in order to be able to pull away in this one? Very physical battle happening right now in Boston. The late game is going to be the Golden State Warriors as they get ready to hopefully head back home with a double-digit lead, 2-0. Going, could they sweep the Houston Rockets, who were the number 2 seed coming out of the West? Golden State, don't forget, had to play that play-in game in order and beat Memphis in order to be able to get the right to go to Houston and take on the Rockets. Well, they won game 1. And they won game 1 mostly because the Rockets just did not shoot the ball well at all. But they are home. They are a favorite again. And history tells us that since 2018, when you have home favorites that lost game 1, and in game 2, they're a favorite again at home, well, those teams usually bounce back in a big way. 12-1 against the number since 2018 in round 1. Oh, yeah, and they're covering those first, that second half spread, or second game spread, rather, by an average of 16 points a game. So we saw the Lakers last night. Same thing. They were a favorite in game 1. They lost, and lost badly, by the way, to Minnesota. And they were a favorite last night. Got it done last night. I think Houston does the same thing here tonight. I think they bounce back, well coached. Plenty of talent on this Houston Rockets team to give the Golden State Warriors all sorts of fits. And again, if you're Houston, you can't go to Golden State down 2 games tonight. This is a game that they have to have. So they'll be off and running in that game. 9:30 here tonight is when that game will tip off. But in the meantime, 16-12 right now, Miami on top of Cleveland, 43-35. Both have about 4 minutes ago. Very chippy, though. A lot of pushing and shoving going on in both of these games right now, which is crazy. We do have one NHL game underway, the Dallas-Colorado game. Puck won't drop till 9:30 here tonight, but no score at the end of one between Montreal and Washington. In-game total, I believe, hovering around the 4.5 mark right now, with Washington being still a pretty decent-sized favorite. They are at home in this one. Edmonton and the Kings will go at 10 o'clock Eastern time tonight. The good news is we're going to have you covered with all of it here, as we've got more in-game live coming your way in just a couple of minutes, and they will have you covered with all the action here tonight, including a couple of Major League Baseball games underway right now. The Boston Red Sox not getting it done, down 4-0 here to the Seattle Mariners in the bottom of the 4th inning. You got no score with Toronto and Houston, and you also have Washington in the top of the 5th up 3-1 over the dreadful Baltimore Orioles. Much more baseball coming your way, the NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs, and of course, the NBA playoffs in full gear. We've got fights, pushing, shoving, Al Horford screaming at guys. Welcome to the playoffs. You got to absolutely love it. But the good news is You don't have to go anywhere because we will have you covered, not just tonight, but don't forget, the NFL draft is tomorrow night. We will have you covered again, a very special edition of Draft Central coming your way tomorrow. But Game Time Decisions, we'll see you again tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. In the meantime, In-Game Live coming up next here on the Grid. Enjoy the games. We'll see you again tomorrow.